Jennifer Lawrence, you have my undivided attention. Seriously, this actor is going places. Okay, so before I get started, I need to make one thing quite clear to you. I have not read any of the books. I know, it took a lot to admit that. Now I understand that there may be some details from the books that didn't make it into the film. However, I would like to ask each and every one of you to bear with me on this one and just to treat this as more of a film review without any reference to the books. Please? So with that in mind, let's get cracking. So the Hunger Games Catching Fire takes place around a year after the first film. We're reacquainted with Katniss Everdeen, played by Jennifer Lawrence. Katniss is not in the best of places. It's quite clear that she's still suffering from the Hunger Games the previous year before. And I like that, you know, I really do. It's not like she just killed a bunch of people and then just forgot about it. She's still suffering the consequences of her actions. She's seeing things that aren't there. She's pretty messed up. Add to the fact that she still has to keep up the facade of being in love with Peter Mallard, played by Josh Hutcherson. Just kidding. But it really is a messed up situation, to say the least. So they go on what's called the Victor's Tour. The Victor's Tour is where the champion of the Hunger Games goes around each district and gives public speeches, that kind of thing. Not before Katniss is visited by President Snow. Donald Sutherland kills it in this role. In the first Hunger Games, he's like, he's just kind of back there. But he's more involved in Catching Fire, which I'm really happy to see because he is a really, really good bad guy. So Snow basically tells Katniss, do what I tell you, keep up the facade, convince the people, and we'll get along just fine. And bless Katniss and Peter, they really do try, but it just doesn't pan out. So President Snow ultimately decides to enact what's known as the Quarter Quell. The Quarter Quell is basically a change to the Hunger Games that's only allowed to be made every 25th year. He creates an addition to the Hunger Games, which basically means that every winner from the past Hunger Games has to come in and compete in this one. So understandably, Katniss and Peter are like, and really, who could blame them? That's like finding out you're going back to hell after a constant struggle of trying to get out. Tough stuff. And that's actually one of the things that I really enjoyed about this film. This film was actually really deep. Deeper than the last one for sure. For another example, there's this one part where this character's dying, and one of the other characters is like, look at the sky, see? Look how beautiful it is. I was sat there watching it like, shit. But that's one of this film's biggest merits. It's incredibly deep and all the actors do a really, really good job of selling it. So ultimately, Katniss and Peter have to go back into training like they did in the first film. They're guided once again by Haymitch, played by Woody Harrelson, probably my favourite character. The guy knows how to make me laugh. So they get to the training centre and that's when they meet their opponents. One of them actually made me think of Aquaman. He's got the same spear Aquaman does, or rather trident. And when you see him in the water as well, it just makes the image complete. Coincidentally, that character was actually one of my favourites. He reminded me of Steve Stifler from the American Pie series, in that he's a bit of a cocky dick, but he just can't help but like him. So Haymitch comes up with a plan for the two and basically says, look, maybe you ought to make some friends this time around. Which at the end of the day is probably for the best. They are after all competing against people who've also won the Hunger Games, so everyone knows the score. Now, the actual Hunger Games event doesn't actually appear until over halfway into the film. So if you're expecting to see the Hunger Games in the first 10, 15, maybe even 30 minutes into the film, then you're probably going to be moving around in your seat a lot. But I really hope that's not going to be the case, because personally I felt that they introduced the Hunger Games in this film at the right moment. There is a lot of solid character development in this film, so I actually found myself caring more about the characters this time around. They did really well with that. The story in Catching Fire isn't really about the Hunger Games at all. It's about the characters, where they are now, the districts, the possible uprising. But most of all, I think it's about hope. The Hunger Games event itself is just merely a tool to tell the story. So if you plan on going into this film thinking, can't wait to see some blood and guts, then turn away and save yourself the money. Although saying that, the violent parts, when they do come up, for the most part, they're pretty damn effective. And again, the cast were very good at expressing the pain and anguish that they were feeling at the time. Especially the lethal smoke scene. I'll be honest, this film really surprised me. I went into this completely blind. No trailers, no references from other people. It was a very good film. So now I'm looking forward to watching Mockingjay, which I've learned they're making into 2 parts, kind of like Harry Potter did. Why am I not surprised, Hollywood? Overall, this film really did it for me. It was a very, very good film. It had a lot going for it. I would quite happily recommend this to everyone that I know, including you. There was a huge downside to this film, however. Now I'm obsessed with Jennifer Lawrence. She's so fit in it. Just kidding. But she is really beautiful. I mean, she really is. What about you? What did you think of Catching Fire? Let me hear your voices. I mean, you know what to do. Let me know in the comments below. You know, keep it tight.